Hello, hello, and welcome to Your Holistic Earth podcast. My name is Kat Halushka, and I will be your host for today. I'm super excited to have Corey Poirier with me today, talking all about landing your brand talks. And me as a speaker, I'm just can't wait to find out more. First, let me tell you about Your Holistic Earth. Your Holistic Earth is a bridge that connects you and local national experts in the field of holistic medicine. On each episode of this podcast, we're going to bring experts that are going to help you be healthier and have an increased sense of well-being. Welcome, Corey. Super excited to have you here today.
Thank you ever so much. I am super pumped to be here as well, Kat.
So why don't I just give the stage to you here for a minute and tell us about what it is that you do and how do you serve people in the world?
Wow. So it's a big question. I'll try to make it a small answer. There's numerous ways that I aim to serve people, but I really feel the biggest way is to help amplify people's voices and messages. So to help people get a voice or get a bigger voice, whatever those two look like. And so what that looks like for me is I've sort of started this thing that I've been tentatively calling it the Influencer Academy. And that kind of, I think, helps explain it well, because what I've been trying to do is help people get on more stages, but also help people actually with podcasting their message or the written word, getting it out, whether it's book form or articles. And so really, I'm just trying to help people influence more people and impact more lives. And for some people, that could be the start of their journey. Like they're still scared of that first interview. Yeah. And for other people, they've been doing it for years, but they're saying, I just don't know why, but I'm not on big enough stages yet. So, that's two ends of the spectrum, but I do a lot of other things, but that's, I think, probably what sort of drives me these days. And my mission statement is that I want to donate, motivate, inspire, educate, and entertain so that I can create an invisible ripple in people's lives. And really how I do that now is help people get a new voice and share their message in a bigger way. So that's it in sort of a nutshell.
That's beautiful. And Corey, I'm really curious here. I would love to know, what are some of the misconceptions people are having when it comes to getting their message out there and landing those stages?
I'll tell you the first one, which I think is maybe the starting point. I'll tell you two that really stick out to me. One is that people think they need to have a big voice to start. Or they need to be comfortable on a stage to start if stage is their choice. And it couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm a walking example. And not everybody's like this that speaks, but for me personally, I was that guy, the sweaty palms, the terrified of speaking in front of two people. And the first time I ever was on a stage, I was actually performing stand-up comedy, and I was in front of people and forgot to turn the mic on. And so I was just covered, drenched in sweat. And I have videos of all this stuff, and I want to start sharing it because I think people sometimes think I'm making it up. They think if you are comfortable on a stage today, you were always comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so I think the first misconception is thinking no work goes into it. There was a comic I had one time on my show, and I asked him, Mark, what do you think it is that the average person doesn't know about speaking or comedy? And he said, how much work goes into it to make it look like no work at all has gone into it? And so I think the first myth is that you have to be born comfortable speaking to get good at speaking. So I think that's the first one. And then I feel like the other myth is that you have to be impacting a lot of people from big stages to be making an impact. Yeah. And again, as a speaker, you really only have to impact one person. And in fact, in your whole life, you could impact one person, but maybe that person goes out and impacts thousands of people. And one person within that group impacts thousands of people. And you could indirectly have an impact on thousands and thousands of people by only impacting one. And a great example is our mentors. I've had mentors in my life that helped me along the way, and without their help, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And if I've had in any way an impact on thousands of people, indirectly, they've now had an impact on thousands of people. So I think the second myth is that it has to be a big stage, or we have to be influencing one to many all the time to have an actual impact in the world. Those are the two ones that jump out to me right away.
I love it because for me, I know that a lot of people struggle with that, getting in front of people. And in fact, isn't it like a number one fear in the world is public speaking, standing in front of a crowd with all those eyeballs on you? And so I know a lot of our listeners can relate to this a lot. And for yourself, how did you discover this industry? And I guess, what are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome in order for you to be where you are right now?
So discovering the industry, I guess I gave myself a good segue because I actually discovered it by being tricked into performing stand-up comedy one night. And so, and I'll give you the short abridged version, but I had a stage play that I wrote for a fringe festival, and I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be the songwriter that nobody ever saw, or the screenwriter nobody ever saw. And I had to actually write myself a part in the play because the lead actor sprained his ankle, so I needed to give him more time. So I had to add a part to add more time into the play. And I was terrified on the stage. I came out with my back to the audience, and even though I wasn't looking at them and I had a wig on, I was still sweating. Like, that's how nervous I was. So I said to one of the actors, "How can I get over this?" He told me about a stand-up comedy workshop. We went for 2 weeks. I thought the most we are going to do was learn about comedy, and I thought it would just be like a closed group where I can learn but never be on a stage.
Mhm.
And then the third week, we were going to go to a show to watch other people, and the guy revealed to us with 5 minutes notice we were actually the entertainers. So that's how I say I got tricked. So I actually was told 5 minutes notice to get on stage and perform. That's how I discovered speaking, because I went on that stage, I bombed horribly, but I went back again the next week and the next week and the next week. And then literally in the first 6 months to a year, I went to a Tony Robbins event and somebody said, "Can you believe he's getting paid to do this?" And I went, "Whoa, wait, people get paid to do this?" And that's how I discovered speaking. So I was already doing stand up and paying my gas money to go to a club and make $5 from the door. And I was like, whoa, people are paying people to actually do this, and I don't have to deal with the alcohol side of it. Wait a minute, I want to sign up. And so that's how I discovered speaking. As far as overcoming, if I tie it to speaking, it would actually still go back to that stand-up comedy night. Obviously, that was a big night in my life, but I had this whole idea of, do I get up on the stage? So I had to overcome the fear of getting up on a stage to actually get to where I am today. And to your point, Jerry Seinfeld has said the number one fear above death is public speaking. So that means the average person at a funeral would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy. And so, yes, number one fear. So I didn't want to get on the stage that night. And I tell the story often that I went into the bathroom to try to find an exit window to sneak out of, and I didn't find it. And we came back out, and out of the 15 stand-up comics that started that night, 8 were gone. So 7 were left. And the new debate was who's going to go up first. And so for me, the overcoming was, do I just walk out the front door? And now I realize it was this little vision I had. Now I realize how big that was, how important. I had this vision of me as an old man sitting at the same bar, pointing to the stage saying, I could have done that one night watching a comic on the stage. And I realized I didn't want to be that person. And the fear of being that person was bigger than my fear of getting on the stage. And so I had to overcome that fear to get on that stage. But I really feel that was a major defining moment in my entire life.
No kidding. Sounds like a real turning point for you. And it's incredible to see your story, because I've seen your successes and I see you all over. People talk about you all the time. You're a phenomenal trainer. But I also know that you're a TEDx speaker, and you had a dream to create your own stage that you guys are just launching, right?
Yeah, 100%. And really, TEDx in some ways was a catalyst for it. And when I say that, I mean, obviously I'm a huge TEDx fan. Delivered 3 TEDx talks, helping other people get them because I know how important they are and I know what they can do for a speaking career. And truthfully, I don't even know if I would have went in my own direction if not for students telling me they felt there was something they wanted in a stage that wasn't being done. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I could sum it up in a quick sentence, it's the spiritual side of talks. So TEDx, you know, a lot of what is on a TEDx stage is stuff that can be proven scientifically, and you don't see as much of the spiritual side. And so I had students that were saying, I want to be able to get on a branded stage like that, but share a message about synchronicities, woo-woo stuff, if we want to call it that, new age stuff and spiritual stuff. And I was trying to, my big thing is I was trying to refer them places. Like, I'm like, okay, where can I tell them to go speak? And the problem was I was coming up with nothing. And I'm like, why doesn't this exist? This is weird. You know, we see virtual events starting now, and now there's like one every 5 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how come there's not multiple people bringing these branded talks places? And I know part of it's the investment of having to bring it, and the headache of bringing an event to various different cities. But I'm like, it's still strange. And so I could recommend them to Goalcast or Mind Valley at the time, but they still didn't do a lot of moving events. And I said, there's nobody really doing it. And so really it's one of those things where when you hear enough people ask you for it and you realize nobody's doing it, at some point you go, is it going to be me, or am I just going to say, why isn't this being done? And I decided, let's make it be me. And so, yeah, that was sort of the catalyst. And so what we did is we launched what's called Blue Talks. Now, I use the term launched lightly because we're actually launching in a few weeks. And next week, we're doing our first virtual summit featuring some of the presenters. So it's all like really new. But we started about 10 to 11 months ago with our first event, filming, and from my end, we've already been launched for a year, but real world, we're not even launched yet. But basically, Blue Talks is a new branded series that's going to include the videos, so you can watch the talks online, just like a TEDx talk. We're also launching with a podcast. We're launching with a book series, and then the virtual events I just mentioned, all basically on day one. And I don't think that's been done before. At least I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, I was really driven to launch this because of having so many people saying I need a stage to talk about things that are spiritual in nature. But I also big fan of the business talks and life stories. So Blue, just so I didn't say it, but Blue's acronym stands for Business Life Universe. And it's basically, I want people to be able to come together and have, one person that could be talking about very practical business stuff, and the very next person after them could be talking about reading tarot cards. I wanted it to be that widespread.
Amazing. Well, Corey, it sounds like you're living your true passion and your true purpose, which is phenomenal to see. Thank you for what you do in the world. For those of us who want to connect with you, who want to check out Blue Talks or what it is that you do, where do we go?
So I like to always keep it to one website. So normally I would send people to my main speaking site, but now that Blue Talks is official and the website is this week, it's up now, but it's being revised this week, but it's up now. That's what I would like to tell people about, which is it's an easy website to remember. Blue Talks without the E, so blue without the E, bluetalks.com. So I keep everything easy, bluetalks.com. People can go there and start to learn a little bit about Blue Talks.
Awesome, guys. Make sure to check it out. I'm super excited to see what you launch and what you create. And I know we have a conversation about this later as well. And for those of you who want to check out Your Holistic Earth, which is a phenomenal resource to create a healthy, happy life, go over to profitableimpactacademy.com/YHE. See you in the next episode.